after going to war, in effect, against Iran, President Trump and his defense secretary and others in the administration went to war against some members of the media this week in the wake of reporting that appeared to question the effectiveness of the U.S. strikes against Iran's nuclear facilities. Let's dig a little deeper with the host of the Emily Saves America podcast, Emily Wilson, and Republican strategist Luke Ball. Great to have you both here tonight. And before we get to the discussion, just want to play for our viewers and remind everybody of some of the things that were said by the, President Trump and the defense secretary earlier this week. Here they are.
Whether it's fake news, CNN, MSNBC, or the New York Times, there's been fawning coverage of a preliminary assessment leaked because someone had an agenda to try to muddy the waters and make it look like this historic strike wasn't successful.
I just want to thank our pilots. You know, they were maligned and treated very bad, demeaned by fake news CNN. Nobody's watching them. So with fake reports put out by the New York Times, failing, I call it the failing New York Times because it's doing terribly.
Emily, to you first. Do you think that those attacks on certain sections of the media were justified?
No, and what's so frustrating about all this is you have people that even worked under the Biden administration coming out and having positive things to say about what happened when it comes with precision and all these different things. I think, once again, the fake news is going to consistently feed into this. I think they do these things to encourage the riots, the protests, anything anti-Trump, of course, to get ratings, I'm sure, as well. But I think overall, we should agree, like, a win is a win. And it's crazy. It's almost so anti-American to not have something positive to say about this. Overall, yeah, I think it was a success.
Luke, what do you think of the way the administration came out so strongly against those in the media who grabbed on to that initial report?
Well, you have to come out strongly. I mean, the Democrats, the left, and many in entrenched bureaucracies here in D.C. have a demonstrable pattern of leaking to the media in order to form a narrative. I just remember back in 2019 when Adam Schiff, head of the Intelligence Committee, was having secret depositions down in the basement and skiffs of the Capitol building and only allowing a handful of members of Congress to come in and hear it, blocking it from the American people, blocking it from other members of Congress that had security clearances so he could cherry pick and selectively leak portions of the deposition in order to frame the media narrative to his advantage. I think to James Comey leaking memos of President Trump to the media, doing this over and over again. And I think that sort of thing absolutely has to stop.
Emily, I think you make a very good point. Like, there's a lesson for the media here. Phrase whatever you're going to phrase very carefully. Wait, perhaps. I mean, it was blindingly obvious to everybody that nobody knew how successful those strikes were, except in the completion of them. We didn't know, clearly we didn't know, how much damage was done. So why would you grab onto that early report and treat it as gospel? It does seem an odd thing to have done, and there's lessons for all of us in that, I think.
I don't think it's odd. I think it's what they've been doing since day one.
You think it's very deliberate?
Yes, of course I think it's deliberate. I mean, it's also, how is it not deliberate when you have something that comes out before you have any of the information, really, technically, you're seething at the teeth to say things that are against Trump, against America in general. I mean, once again, it's promoting a lot of things happening right now, across with all the riots and all this stuff. So yeah, I do think what they do is deliberate, whether it's for views or to just go against Trump or the America First agenda. I always think it's deliberate.
Interesting. Luke, there was a difference in some of the criticism. We've heard criticism from successive administrations of various sections of the media, whoever they feel that is not telling the story the way they want it to be told. But in this instance, they very specifically went after named reporters, in particular one at CNN. Here's Press Secretary, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
This is a reporter who has been unfortunately used by people who dislike Donald Trump in this government to push fake and false narratives. She should be ashamed of herself.
And then President Trump himself posted on Truth Social, Natasha Bertrand, the CNN reporter that Caroline Leavitt was talking about, should be fired from CNN. I watched her for 3 days doing fake news. And then he goes on with more of her history and ends it in all caps, fire Natasha, as you see there on page 2 of that. Luke, is that going too far when you pick on one reporter? In this case, a particularly young reporter. Is that crossing a line, or is that justifiable?
I think whenever someone is going after your administration and trying to frame a narrative that the administration knows is demonstrably false, you have to push back forcefully. And I can think back to Capitol Hill when I was working as a communications director. Whenever the media would say something incorrect and sometimes even go after staff members themselves, we had to defend ourselves. We had to push back. That's the nature of this business. That's what they have to do. And it also forces the news organizations to think twice about pushing a narrative that they don't have all of the sourcing for, that they don't have complete information of. And so I believe that this holds their feet to the fire, just as the reporters are trying to hold the administration accountable. The administration is saying, look, this sourcing is incorrect, your story is wrong, and we're going to push back on it.
Luke, great to see you as always. Emily, thank you for being here in LA with us.
Thank you.
Thank you both. We are back with the Nightcap crew: Luke Ball, Pete Peterson, Gloria Romero, and Emily Wilson. Tonight's topic: Supreme Court smackdown. The High Court effectively stopping lower courts from interfering with the president's agenda. So what do you think? Was this necessary to tackle judicial activism, or is it a blow to the checks and balances in our political system? We've got to be quick, so let me come to Luke first. What say you, Luke?
The Democrats view the judicial branch as their insurance policy against a Republican administration. That's lawfare. And lastly, I'd say 64 nationwide injunctions in President Trump's first term, 92% of those judges were Democrat. That sounds unfair to me.